The last 2 years have made us all sit back and reflect on so many aspects of our lives. And one such topic is our take on gender stereotypes. These are generalized behaviors and attitudes that are considered normal and appropriate for a person solely based on her or his biological sex. Artists are now increasingly leveraging their art and craft to question these stereotypes and reshape gender identity. To converse on this, we have with us Abhishek Bannerjee, Hindi cinema actor, casting director, and screenwriter, who made his acting debut through a cameo performance in Rang De Basanti, but found a place in our hearts and minds with his roles in films like Fillori, Stree, Dream Girl, and Bala. His impactful roles in the web series like TVF Pictures, Mirzapur, Typewriter, and Patal Lok have made him be one among the thinking viewers' favorites. Abhishek also runs a casting company called Casting Bay. Talking to him is supermodel turned farmer and performance artist Tinu Verghis. After a 15-year run as a leading supermodel, Tinu now leverages art as a platform to work for strengthening women's rights and question the systemic subjugation of women. She runs a popular art farm in Goa. So it's over to Abhishek and Tinu.
Hello.
Hello, Abhishek.
Hi, Tinu. I'm also in Goa.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Ah, so
So who goes
okay.
first?
I think you go first.
Ah, I think we should toss a coin and figure out who goes first.
I always lose.
Okay, heads or tails?
Mm, okay, heads.
Sorry, you lose.
Oh, damn. See, I told you I always lose in the toss. So how do we start this? I
Go for
mean,
it.
what I mean, uh, I would like to ask you actually. You tell me. I think fashion world is all about gender stereotyping, and that's what I always grew up to. I think for me, when I came to Bombay, I would never understood the world of fashion, and even now I don't understand. So I would like to understand from you, how did you manage to create your own space by not actually fitting in the space which is expected from models?
Hmm. Okay, thanks for shifting it back to me. Very, very smooth.
I just,
But I'll
I'm
take it.
just curious.
So,
Yeah.
no, let me just tell you my overall story so you'll have a better perspective as to why I do what I do. And I hope you find it as interesting as the way I have lived it. So I worked as a fashion model for 15 years before I moved on to visual arts to focus on finding ways to address systemic injustice of women and to build communities and knowledge around the systems of oppression. As a model, I'm reduced to just appearances, but I placed myself in the industry as the polar opposite of what was expected in terms of appearances.
Hmm.
The ideal Indian model when I was starting off is typified as the long hair, non vocal, non rebellious, etc. So I use the tools of oppression to fight against a system that fixes women in stereotypes. So I cut my hair short, I pierced my lip, I tried to start a models union, I lived with a man for 10 years without a marriage contract. I wrote articles in magazines and newspaper about my dreams of skydiving and higher pay and sustainable fashion. It took me more than a decade to be allowed to grace the cover of Vogue. And I quit modeling because I was on the cover of Vogue for the wrong reason. The cover was titled The Dawn of the Dusk. But you have to remember, I was awarded the world's best ramp model by Fashion TV in Monte Carlo 7 years before I was gracing the cover of Vogue. I really got tired of justifying my skin color. So I felt I should find an alternative platform to continue my journey towards self empowerment and to question the power dynamics that society uses to subjugate women under the pretext of values like cultural value, religious value, parental values. So I moved with my partner to Singapore to do my post graduation in visual arts in LaSalle College of the Arts. So while I was modeling, I bought a farmhouse with agricultural land in Goa. All that I know about rice farming or animal rearing, I learned on the go with my mother. She was my bank of traditional knowledge. I grew up as a wild child in Kerala, where chili, okra, moringa, ivy gourd, yam, everything grew abundantly year around. Our walls were banana trees, our divider fence was pineapple bushes. There was always seeds drying on the kitchen table, pouches of newspaper with seeds on the table. My mother grew every seed she could get her hands on, and we pretty much ate what we were growing at home. She would show me how the seeds had to be placed in soil because every seed has a top and a bottom. If you put it upside down, your seed does not grow. So you have to know exactly how to place a seed when you plant. Some seeds, you have to dry them before you plant them. Some seeds, you have to soak them in water before you plant them. Some seeds, like lemon, you need to take them fresh off the fruit and plant them. Some sprout in a day, some sprout in a week, some sprout after a month. Just like us, every seed is different. My amma collected and saved seeds and planted them according to the rise and fall of the moon. So we left the countryside and we moved to the city, and nature was limited to flower pots on the balcony. I bought a farmhouse and started farming in Goa 16 years ago. Being back in nature, living with nature, surrendering to nature made a fundamental shift in my life. I slowly reclaimed the wild child or the wild woman in me. I'm not situating myself in binaries of man is to culture versus women is to nature. No, that's not my point. But buried by culture, I had forgotten my wild instinctual self. To adjoin the instinctual nature means to establish territory, to find one's community, to be in one's body with certainty and pride, to speak, to act in one's behalf, to be aware, to be alert, to draw on the innate feminine powers of intuition and sense, and to rise with dignity. So I started the art farm at my home in Goa in a response to myself and the women around me. I went through severe postnatal depression when in 2019 after my daughter was born. I realized there was a serious need to address mental health, self-reflection, and happiness. And I wanted to create a safe space for women away from the male gaze to come together, to create, to build support among the commonality of our struggles. At the Heart Farm, we don't just grow vegetables. We grow consent. We grow support. We demolish boundaries. We grow resistance, and we grow our instinctual wild psyche. The art farm is situated deep inside a rural community, agricultural community in Goa. Here, the participants are introduced to a space of endless creativity. The land is large, it's open, there are no walls that prevents you from opening your mind. Here they consume fresh vegetables straight out of the ground. They practice yoga, they involve themselves in community building art practices, which is the exact opposite to the sedentary city lifestyle. There is no instant gratification, especially when we deal with nature. Farming and nature teaches us to have patience. And with patience comes discipline. For me as an artist, without discipline, it will not work because the days when I have no idea, my mind is closed, I still go back and I still create because we cannot stop dreaming or we cannot stop creating. It is absolutely vital for my survival as an artist and as a farmer and as a mother to keep this going. At the art farm, we believe in sharing ideas and stories to open minds. Everything we need is always in front of us. Any inspiration you ever need, It's present in the nature and among its creatures. You just need to break those systematized boundaries and expectations and reclaim intuitive knowledge that's deep within. Culture always teaches us to look ahead. Nature teaches you to look at where you are standing. You need to be present, body, mind, and soul, when you're dealing with nature. At the art farm, I want to put power back in the hands of women. So I trained to shoot at NCC. I can shoot a rifle and I'm very good at it. I used to take part in those championships in Kerala. So today, along with art and farming practices, I teach women to shoot a gun. I see guns as a metaphor for taking control. I'm interested to develop new stories for women's ability to defend themselves and to fight back. It provides an important counter story to the discourse of victimization. It allows the possibility to change the discourse that permeates rape culture by undermining the assumption that women are vulnerable and men cannot be defeated in a physical attack. We open up conversations and oppression and gender-based violence through our immersive art camps. We engage the participants with topics like gender, inclusivity, sexuality, consent, and patriarchy. These are custom-built art camps rooted in feminist theory. I believe that every revolution need not come with a bang. To me, it's about sowing ideas of change. That's where I am,
Wow.
Abhishek.
Wow. You just took me to your farm. I would love to visit your farm sometime when I'm in
You
Goa
must.
again. I'm here only for a day because I'm here for my friend's wedding. But next time I'm here, I'll definitely come and I want to understand the culture there. It's beautiful. I've also recently bought a place in Goa just to, I think the idea is the same. But of course, the execution for me, I think it's going to take more time to actually start living with nature. That's the idea. And I somehow feel that also because of COVID, uh, the 1.5 years or 1 year of staying in those apartments in Bombay, I realized that what a waste of time that is, and what a waste of energy that is. To actually stay and try to constantly build your career to so that you can pay somebody the rent or buy your dream flats and the kind of advertisements which you see in Bombay every day, the dream home, the spacious homes, the lush green views and everything, which is obviously like it's not a reality. And I think creativity somehow it 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 blooms. It blooms in an open area. It blooms under the tree shades, and that's what we are missing in Bombay. The concrete jungle is not really creative enough. Is what my complaint from the city is. Ah, yeah, great.
I think capitalism in the long term doesn't really work for your health or for your survival, because by the end of it, what you actually need is water to drink and food to eat. All that thing that we run after, by the end of it, is not going to give you the air you want to breathe or the food you want to eat. I think we are a bit going against what is natural to us. I think we should focus more on inner growth more than the things we chase after.
Yeah, then that's exactly opposite of what I think our industry is all about. And when I came to Bombay, 13 years back now, from Delhi University, Kirodimal College, a theatre society called Players, which is a gang of students who would do rebellious plays all around Delhi. And when I came to Bombay, I thought, okay, this is what it is. Like people want to see talent, people want to see good acting, and that's what it's all about. And then suddenly everything just shattered, and you realize that there are too many stereotypes uh, in the industry. Like even a man has to go through these phases of having the perfect body, the perfect voice, the perfect and the kind of clothes you're wearing. Everything has to be macho about you. People need to find you attractive, and only then you're an actor. I still remember I was with a friend, and she introduced me to her friend, saying that he's an actor, and she was a beautiful lady. And the immediate reaction, because I always dress up like very casual. I don't usually dress like actors actors as such. So and the first thing, the person who was not known to me, the first thing was that, oh, you're an actor. You don't look like an actor, and that is something which stayed with me all my life. I've not forgotten that. Because this is the perception which we need to beat around. Because if the whole point about being looking like an artist, I mean, I don't know, I would never go and tell that to a painter or a poet or a writer. You don't look like a poet, you don't look like a painter. But with actors, it's always that, I think you don't look like an actor. And now that's what I'm still fighting. I'm still not going to the gym and lifting the weights because I don't want to do that. It's not that I can't, or it's not that I don't have the energy for it, but it's just that I don't want to, because I want to be a normal body actor, or a normal hair actor. I don't want to go and do the transplant and get my teeth in shape and get my skin color detan. There are too many things, and I'm like, okay, this is not what I came in for. I just came in to read the text. I came in to read, the between the lines of authors. I came here to think and then perform. I came here to interact with directors. I didn't come here to, show them something. I wanted to learn from the film industry, and that's the part which I'm still, trying to, in a way, sort of create for myself. Probably, find new ways, or different ways where you can just be your own and not get like not get accumulated by the crowd, like the way how everybody starts behaving. I have a casting company, and I think the reason I always wanted to cast later was that I wanted to give opportunity to raw talent, and not
Mm.
people with whatever the convention. I don't understand the conventional look part, because I feel that uh, India, I think it's full of people like us. We are not the way how it's portrayed in cinema. That is not the general public of the country. So the conventional part and the unconventional part is actually very, very shaky. It's blurry. So I'm trying to fight that through my casting. Also, I've had uh, I when we wanted to cast a transgender in Patal Lok, the first ideas were, to obviously get a guy to play the role, or to make the girl play the role. But, it just stuck, it was stuck in my head that no, I needed to find a transgender who can perform. And how can a country with so many people not have one transgender who can act? So it was unbelievable for me. That's the thing which I always throw to my directors, or my casting associates and employees, that don't come and tell me that you will not find an actor with special abilities, because it's a 130 cr population. So if we don't find people, the manpower here, I don't. It's going to be more difficult in the foreign countries. So if they can do it, we can also do it, and that's how we got Mariam from Manipur. Imagine somebody sitting in Manipur. I mean, she's a brilliant actor, and we cast her. And yeah, and then people recognize that, but that's it. That's about it. Thodi baatein hoti hain, and then after that, people forget. But it's going to take time, is what I've realized. I mean, it's a responsibility of not only actors or casting directors. It's a responsibility of the entire fraternity, the directors, the producers. They all need to, understand what really the art form is, and promote the art rather than the artist. That's what I've been trying to do, and it's still
I
a
think
long
it's
journey
great
to go.
because,
Let's say.
yeah, I think so, because I think the responsibility really lies with all of us, because even within the limited power we have, we still have power, and
Of course, we
not to use it is a waste, because you sticking to your guns of not beefing up or maintaining what an actor look like, or insisting on having a transgender to do the role, is you using it rightly, what the power you have, and to let go, or to give into a system that continuously subjugates and oppresses people based on caste, color, creed, gender, everything. It's wrong, because we need to make the changes on an everyday basis. Every day is something we can do to change the systems that oppresses others, and not to use that power, I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I want to know your story as to how you had the guts to hold on to your own ideas of what you should look like or how you should be. I mean, I know you struggled for a few years before you got your big break. How do you stay true to yourself? What is the way you did it? Was how did you?
I don't know. I think I almost quit acting. There was a point where
Mm,
I realized that okay, people are not going to give me the job just because of my talent. They need something more, which I am probably not for them. And I was not ready to probably play the parts which were offered to me. I don't consider a friend like, you know, when there's a quintessential hero's friend in Bollywood movies who always gets hit by the hero on the head, you know, and you've seen this all over all these years, and I'm like, I don't have a friend who I hit on the head, and you know, none of my friends actually do that. There's nothing when we don't really insult our friends. We don't call them "Oye, chotu," you know, like that. You know, this is not the sounds we make for
right.
our friends. But somehow Bollywood has always, you know, given us heroes and heroes' friends who are like, you know, completely disrespectful. The hero is always disrespectful towards the friends, and so on. So I never wanted to play those characters. I'm like, okay, I wanted to play characters where I could find respect for my characters. And if I don't find the respect for my characters, then I would rather not, you know, do those parts. So that's why it became a longer wait, because I was offered certain roles the minute I was in Bombay, and uh, of course, it's like, you know, as I say, that it is still a mediocre industry where you are not really expected to uh, really perform well, even if you can say your dialogues properly and have some nuances of acting. You are considered an actor, but this is far away from being actually a true actor. So that's what I mean. So it took me a lot of time to understand that okay, this is not what I want to do. I tried to fit in, but probably I couldn't. And then I decided that okay, no, this is not what I am. So I need to step back and do what I'm doing. And that's how casting came into the picture, because casting was something which I was doing for my bread and butter. But then with casting, I started gaining confidence, because what was happening is that what was the wrong which was happening to me, I was fixing that through my casting jobs. You know, I was
Right.
helping the actors, the good actors, get the jobs. You know, I was helping them, creating opportunities for them, and that started slowly giving me confidence that, you know, if I can do it for them, then probably I can do it for myself also. And then one filmmaker took notice of me. Devashish Makija. He's again a very rebellious director. He makes amazing movies. The film called Ajji, and I was completely, I was, I think, overweight. I had big beard. I had shabby hair, and I didn't care at all. I was like, okay, this is what I am, and I'm going to actually go and perform the role like this. And that happened, and suddenly everybody took notice of my acting. They all forgot how I looked. They all forgot whether my teeth were like, you know, a smoker's teeth or not. They all forgot, you know, the shape, the size, the color, everything. It was only my performance. That gave me a lot of confidence. That told me that okay, I need to always believe in the inner strength I have, and the belief I have in the art form. Even for the very popular character of mine, Hatoda Tyagi, the first instance was that okay, do I need to bulk up? You know, I'm playing a hammer
Mm,
man, Hatoda Tyagi. So do I need to have those hammer hands and everything? I'm like, no. I again told myself that no, this is exactly ulta of what I wanted to do. So I completely leaned down, in fact, for the parts. Because if you see, you know, because I realized that in India, when I see a UP goon or any Bihar goon on the TV news channels, when you see the goons, the criminals, they're actually very thin guys, or probably not really strong-looking people. They're just like strong in the head, and that's what
mm,
to actually achieve that, and to really get the, you know, acclamation for that, was something which was special for me than probably which I would have got
mm,
from something else. So yeah, and even now I'm doing the same thing. Like people, my friends in the industry, or you know, my well wishers in the industry, they would always ask me to, you know, to probably dress up in a event, or do something about my body for a film role, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick to what I'm doing. And any which way I'm wearing clothes, and somebody's coming and doing my hair and makeup when I'm shooting. So why do I have to do that in real life? Then it just becomes very mundane and boring. I'd want to have my normal life, probably farm like you, and sow seeds and understand seeds better. I have no knowledge of seeds right now. My wife does. She is doing that in the kitchen gardens. But yeah, I want to live that kind of life, and I want to have that life and acting as my passion and job. Don't want to make that my life. Don't want to make that completely change myself for my career or for my passion. That's a part of me. That is not whole of me.
I like the thing that you said about how after doing casting, you slowly gave the good actors the role. I think to me, that is infiltration that we need to do all the time, and any changes that we need to do. If you have the chance to get into the system, then you must change the system.
Yeah.
That's what I did with modeling. When I got in there, I knew all the things that didn't work for the girls in terms of pay, in terms of the working hours, in terms of the people around and the way they took uh, used up the girls for reasons because they are too young, or they abuse their youngness of their age. And to change those systems, hi Mina, to change
Aye,
those
aye.
systems was important to me. So when I was modeling, I really made sure things changed for the better. And the same thing for what you see in terms of toxic masculinity in Bollywood. Those things have to change because there are people there who believe, and I think, I hope they believe that some things have to change because this is the way you are portraying what should be the relationship, the way it should be done. And that is the kind of message you're passing to the people in villages. When I go down the road, before when I used to go down the road, the people that would catcall, or you say the way you treat your friends, do chotu and these are the things people voice when you go on the street. But those things have to change because this sort of masculinity that Bollywood portrays is so harmful. And unless people take charge, and actors and actresses and directors, etc., take charge and say this has to change, things will not change. We will continue to fight. So, infiltration, people who actually can make the changes should get in there and make the change.
Yes, and the whole point of when somebody tells me that, oh, audience loves this, and I'm always like, I always tell them that no, audience doesn't love this. They're just conditioned to see that. Just show them something different. Show them a different friend. Show them a friend who probably is respectful towards each other,
Right.
and probably stop saying the dialogues. I've done that many times when I've found something wrong with the lines, and if I think that that's not the politics I believe or not, whatever, then I would always tell them that I won't be saying those lines, and probably make those lines a different. And that's what I think we all need to do as artists when we have the power, because I think that is
Yes.
what everybody's been waiting for, right? And if few of us start doing that, probably it will be a revolution for our younger generation coming in the industry. I know so
That's
many
right.
girls, so many women in the industry who are so scared because they always feel that the minute they cross 30, their career is over. And it's so sad to see that because most of the girls are always under tremendous pressure from their friends, family, boyfriends, husbands, everywhere, that they have to crack it by 30. They have to crack it by, the beauty is going, the age is going. And I'm like, but where's the art? Where is the acting? Where's the acting part of it? And where's your talent? Why aren't we focusing there? And yeah, it's totally a mess out there, but we will clean that up.
Slowly but
I
surely.
hate to interrupt this conversation, but there are a few questions from the audience and comments. If it's okay with you, should I bring that in as well?
Sure.
Surely.
All right. So the first question is from Ananya Sharma. She says, with the growing awareness regarding the gender spectrum where cinema is concerned, there have been a lot of movies in the recent past uh, which have been aimed towards sensitization of people on the same. How and when can we expect brands to do the same at a much larger scale? Maybe Tinu, you could take this.
Um, I pretty much could never go for any casting for brands because I was always stopped at the door saying I'm too dark. And those kind of things is very damaging because even if you are dark and they take you, they will still lighten you by 10 shades. Brands need to change, and people who run those castings need to have a better understanding about what the generation now needs. You need to go beyond your color, your intentions, and the kind of portrayal of women in advertisement, in brands needs to change. We are not that 1960s, 1970s. We need new things that's progressive, that would actually empower women, empower men. You are still going on the age old tactic of men don't cry, women need to get married, make children, and a good housewife is the usual saas bhi bahu thi, the whole idea of that figure. Those things need to change, but I don't know when that is going to change. I stopped watching TV because of this, because it was too much. At what point do we progress as a society if you continuously oppress everybody? And yeah, no, brands
No,
have to change.
I feel that brands need to start, making their stuff relatable more than aspirational. I think that's where the change needs to happen. They need to start understanding that today's youth is more about, that they want everything to be relatable. Aspiration zamana gaya, everybody is busy on social media trying to make themselves aspirational.
Channa. The question is, how does increased demand for localization of content work in tandem with exploring non-conforming gender identity? So on one side, there
Could you
is a need for sort of more localized content, and how do you make sure that it's sort of conforming with?
I think you need to have more creative people working in the industry that's on visual media, because I don't think the storylines or anything that they are coming up with is progressive enough to deal with the current generation of people who needs their gender identities to be more precise, to more vocal. So yeah.
And Abhishek, maybe you can wear your casting director hat and answer this question.
Can you repeat that question? I'm still not.
Yeah, so the question from Abhinay Channa says, how does the increased demand for localization of content work in tandem with exploring non-conforming gender identity?
I don't know,
So on
Malab,
one hand, there is a need for, say, more local content, going back to the roots, and on the other hand, there is also, the need for exploring non-conforming sort of gender
and
identity and
progressive,
questioning
yeah,
that.
progressive
So
gender.
how
No,
does
but
that
see,
work
the
in
thing is that we need to find the progression in the roots only. I've been a huge like fan of local content and probably stories which are rooted to India, because I mean we shouldn't be like that. We have been seeing movies about Bombay and Delhi and Switzerland and like UK and America, but the thing is that we need to go and find the stories in India. So when you see those stories coming out from your surroundings, probably, and you start talking about the issues there, the social milieu around around the place you're staying, I think that's where the progression will start happening. It's actually completely reciprocal. Like the more rooted you go, the more progressive you will become. Satyajit Ray was the most rooted director we have ever had. He used to make films about an old lady, a small young girl who's as fascinated by watching a train passing through her village. Now that is, but it in those days also it was one of the most progressive cinema of our time, even till today. So that's what I think we have to start understanding that India is not Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata. India is actually the rural part, the smaller towns, the B towns, the C towns, and when we start approaching stories from those areas, from those characters, I think that's when we'll really understand what is really going on in our country.
And one last question before we can wrap this is from Priya. She says Shefali Shah in a recent interview said that she's done more work that are age appropriate for her in this last 1 year than she has done in her entire career. Do you think we are sort of really reaching that maturity curve when it comes to gender stereotyping?
Yes, we are. We are. Slowly and steadily, we are. Because the kind of characters which I read these days are well, that I used to not read them before for women, especially for women. Because, the category for girls are very simple. The girl next door, the sexy girl, the BV, the wife, or the sister. These are the usual characters which we used to read uh, for any film. Now it is changing. Women are becoming more stronger in our stories. They are fighting back. They are taking the charge. I mean, Shushmita Sen in Arya or Shifali Shah in Delhi Crime, or now suddenly it is Sakshi Tanwar, who was a part of a daily soap super hit show, is doing a show called where she's taking revenge on her daughter's death by an accident. So all these characters are getting more and more complex. They're looking more and more real. They're showing the strength of a woman, which is to not be the case probably 3 years back. So I think the pandemic and the OTT boom is already making those changes, and it's going to be more in the near future.
Thank you. Those are all the questions.